My name is Dom, 8th generation Arizonan, activist, artist, and I've been working in the campaign world for over 10 years.
I'm Senya. I'm an artist, activist Chicana, and I've been involved in politics for over 10 years. We've both lived in Arizona for a long time.
In Arizona, let's face it, we've got issues.
Coming to you from the downtown office and a state of generalized panic, welcome to this week's episode of We've Got Issues.
So the tweet of the week is from Charles M. Blow, where he says, Black people could never, where he describes a video. What's on the video, Senya?
There's a state of generalized panic, if you ask me.
Yeah. So it looks like these cops are being harassed and touched and pushed and kicked by protesters. And look at their faces. They look scared. I don't think people of color could ever react this way at a protest without getting shot.
No, this is the infamous footage of the Open the State protesters in California, and they're very, very in your face with the police, and that is a very privileged thing to do.
No, there's a Black person in the background, and they're just watching all this like, yeah, you tell them. And they're just, kicking it back there. They're not doing anything to the cops.
There's a very safe distance there, that's for sure. So now to the read this. Like petri dishes for the virus, ICE detention centers put detained migrants at high risk for coronavirus, Politico reports. The lack of safety precautions and overpopulated detention centers risk the lives of migrants and make contracting COVID-19 almost guaranteed for detainees, guards, and the communities around them. Rural communities with detention centers are uniquely at risk as the abysmal conditions of immigration centers makes 100% infection possible.
ICE continues these needless transfers of infected migrants. Doesn't that put everybody in detention at risk for contracting corona? Aren't these folks just being detained until their court date and are not accused of any actual crime besides being present in our country with their families? Why aren't they just being released? The bitter terms of America's racial contract, what Ahmaud Arbery's murder and the coronavirus crisis reveal about America.
The heinous lynching of Ahmaud Arbery while exercising in Georgia is the most recent example of the lasting effects of racism and white supremacy.
This happens in the middle of the lockdown where people of color are more likely to work in a job that is essential and higher at risk of infection.
In both cases, we're not seeing genetic disposition to harm and death, but we're seeing the real-time human cost of systematic inequality. Essential but illegal. The cruel paradox at the heart of America's immigration laws. Alfredo Corchado wrote about his experience picking produce with undocumented workers when he was young, and despite being essential workers, the people who bring the food to our table are at continued risk of deportation.
Texas farmer Joel Vasquez says, sadly, it's taken a pandemic for Americans to realize that the food in their grocery stores on their tables is courtesy of mostly Mexican workers, the majority of them without documents. They're the most vulnerable of workers. They're not hiding behind the pandemic, waiting for a stimulus check.
Our food comes from the hands of migrant workers. Our laws and COVID relief should uplift them.
Yeah.
And hey, don't your voters live in cities? Senator Martha McSally doesn't think cities and towns deserve federal aid.
Arizona's least favorite senator, Martha McSally, would rather cities like Phoenix, Mesa, Tucson, all the smaller cities and towns of Arizona declare bankruptcy instead of receiving our own tax dollars to keep the lights on while everyone is stuck at home.
Did we vote for her? I don't remember voting for her.
Wasn't McSally appointed to fill McCain's seat? This is far from what John McCain would do.
Somebody mail her a bracelet with WWJMD for what would John McCain do?
In our next session, watch this, a failed response to an unprecedented crisis. Republicans in the Arizona legislature mocked the pandemic, spread conspiracy theories, and blocked much needed efforts to provide relief.
There's a bar chart with Arizona's coronavirus infections and deaths steadily creeping upward, while tweets from Republican leadership mock, undermine, and gaslight safety measures to keep people safe.
That ain't right.
No, it isn't. I remember seeing this happen in real time, and I just couldn't help but think, what are they thinking? Like, who are they protecting?
What could go wrong?
And lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, and there's still this entire population in Arizona on all sides that wants to say, oh, people are overreacting. This isn't really happening to my community. I only know 1 or 2 people with COVID, and they haven't died yet.
Yeah, but this is far more serious than anybody even begin to take it. At this point, we all need to be wearing masks while we're outside.
I mean, my thought about it is, so you need your friends and family to die to take this seriously? That's really what you need? That's what's going to make it real for you?
Or the people who are saying like, only this amount of people are going to die from this. Only that amount of people are gonna be affected by it.
Right.
But why would you want to put human lives at risk? Now we want to highlight some of the other shows on the Fuerte Network.
Listen up. Senia and I are part of the Fuerte Arts Movement, which has a series of shows on the Fuerte Network. So on it, we were able to republish a show that I was a part of several years ago called Mira Listen. So if you want to go to fuerte.org, you'll see that a link to that show on the homepage.
What's Mira Listen really about? Like, kind of what's the who are you talking to?
It's about miraing and listening. No, Mira Listen is a show about, cultura, comida, politics, and more for the millennial generation. It's mostly centered around conversations about things that are happening in our lives and affecting us.
Nice.
And the last season was like a year ago, so we're hoping to start a new season soon. So, listen to the old season so you're ready for the new season.
Awesome. I want to highlight We've Got Issues. So we put together the show, and we're getting better about doing it every week to give everybody a news roundup that you can listen to, you can laugh to, you can kind of roll your eyes at. And
we hope every week is like this.
We hope every week is like this. I mean, we want something more to laugh at. We want to kind of point and laugh at the crazy crap that's happening in our state. Yeah. Because if you've lived here long enough, you can see that there's some people in charge that really should not be in charge. And sometimes the only way that you can live through the pain is to laugh through the pain. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely.
And we also want to shout out to Danny. He's the man behind the camera. He's the one making all of the magic happen. So Danny, want to tell us about one of your shows?
Yeah, thank you very much. And we're here behind the camera, behind the soundboard, behind the computer. We do have a couple of shows out here on our sports wing with Arizona Deportiva. For those of you that like all things sports in Espanol, everything going on in Arizona, football Mexicano, European leagues, and everything going on. I'm sorry.
There's sports right now?
There is sports news. And quite frankly, since this thing has started, I've lost half the hair on my head. Mostly pulling myself off and keeping score. That's the kind of sports that I'm into right now.
Nice.
So those can be heard here on the Fuerte Network, along with more programming coming in future from Frecuencia Alterna. So we're going to have a wide array of different shows, entertainment, politics, beauty, health, everything that you guys could think of. We're going to have a show for you guys. So stay tuned to this Fuerte Network.
And special shout out to Franco and Frecuencia Alterna. They're our partners, and they're our community Spanish language radio network. So shout out to them. They're keeping it on lock, getting the message out. All of this is crazy, and all of this sucks, but we're giving you ways to fight that. So do this.
Help Navajo and Hopi families make it through. The Navajo and Hopi nations have been among the worst hit communities in the entire community. Help cover costs for food, distribution, and other relief, or donate supplies directly.
Money can be given at GoFundMe.com to the campaign Navajo and Hopi Families COVID-19 Relief Fund, where 66,000 donors have contributed $3.5 million toward a $5 million goal.
Or if you would rather donate supplies, donations are being received at the Phoenix Indian Center at 4520 North Central Avenue from 9 a.m. to noon and from 2 to 4 p.m. until Thursday, May 14th at noon. Call 602-264-6768 when you get there.
That's 602-264-6768.
It is.
It is. The biggest needs are personal protective equipment, fabric face masks, ventilators, medical gloves, thermometers, soaps, alcohol, and other various cleaning supplies. And that's isopropyl alcohol.
Isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah, rubbing alcohol, y'all. Be part of mutual aid. Join the Phoenix Mutual Aid Network and learn about ways to share or request resources and organize your neighborhood.
Visit mutualaidphx.com to learn more about mutual aid and how you can help your neighbors.
One last thing. I don't care what Ducey says. I don't care how shaggy your hair is. I don't care how bad you miss your homies. We're still in the thick of it, and it can get so much worse. So please, we're begging you. Stay home.
We've Got Issues is a Fuerte Network production. We've Got Issues was written by Progress Now Arizona in collaboration with Senya and Dom. Special thanks to Emily Kirkland, Living United for Change in Arizona, Puente Human Rights Movement, and anyone part of the rational side of politics in Arizona.
Audio engineering and video by Danny Orona and Sun Digital. Audio and video editing by Dom Medina. Shout out to our moms. We love you, and we'll give you more gifts next Mother's Day.
Promise.